In this video, we'll show how to remove the sensor cable from an ABB Watermaster and refit with a new cable. The tools we'll be using is a Phillips head screwdriver, a small-ish size flathead. I've got this scoop tool, but if you haven't got something like this, you can just use a bigger flathead screwdriver, and then a small Allen key. This is quite a useful part. We've got this soft resin in the top, which gives you IP68 rating. To start with, we're going to start chipping away at this. So I tend to start at the top here to uncover the screws underneath. So it's, as you can see here, you can sort of push into it fairly easily, and you just gently push against the edges. You can see you start to get some clumps come up like so. So it's just a case of working your way around, but the PCB board that you can see down there, always stay above the PCB board, never go below it. So you can see we go around the edges, starts to break away from the edges quite easily, and start to get some good clumps out like that. So you need to be delicate, but not overly delicate. As long as you stay around the top and you don't clip through any of the cores of this cable that's in there already. Again, if you did, not the end of the world, because you're taking that cable out. So what I'm going to do now is, apologies, I'm going to start going along the top where those terminals are, clearing out around here. Let's get those terminals nice and clear at the top. Just try and get rid of this trunk, so I'm going to stay above the cables that I can see down there. Get rid of this bit. Start to see those terminals coming clear now. So we'll undo all of these terminals. Just a couple of turns, sort of 2 or 3 turns is all you need to loosen the cables inside. So we've loosened all those terminals. Now I tend down here, you've got a couple of screws holding in, it's sort of clamping down the cable. So we dig down here, you can just see now, you see the first screw there. So we clear a bit more on this side. And again, there you go, just being careful of any cables like that. You can now see you've got your 2 screws. We'll undo those. There's one. Sorry, it's hands are in the way of the screen. There's 2. And what I generally do is the lid that you took off, is I pop these screws in the lid, because that way you shouldn't lose them. It just needs a little bit more. Pop that second screw out, and then the little plate holding it in. There we go, we'll knock this gland off the back, so that's free. And then with my screwdriver, I'm going to go in under these cores, because we've already released them from the top, that's why it's important to do that, and start pulling back, and then you can see the cores start to come out. So there we go, start digging underneath. Don't know if you can get a bit more potting out the way while you're doing it. Best practice to get that one. Some red and a brown under here, and we'll try and get under. Again, we're above the terminal board, so we're not going to do any damage to the main cables coming up from the flow sensor. There we go. Get that purple one out. Put it wiggling. Again, we're taking this cable out probably because it's faulty or we need a new length, so you don't have to be too careful with it. So sort of pull your fingers together, then we might need to do a little bit more digging around just to free that cable up. So just some of these edge bits. But now that cable's out the way, you can sort of come under here, again above the board at the bottom, leverage on the side, get some bigger chunks out, like that. So there you go, so you can see the board at the bottom now. We don't want to go under here, there's the sensitive cables under there. So I'll dig a little bit from that side. There we go. We've got sort of freed our cables now. And what we can do is back here, you sort of pull your cables, give them a bit of a wiggle, bit of a pull like that. You should get them to pop out. And there you go, there's the cables that we've removed. Now we need to tidy up the junction box. So I tend to go in from this end, give it a couple of backwards and forwards pushes and pulls. This clears the gland out of anything that's inside the gland. Then we want to clear these sides up, like so. There you go, that bit popped out. Hopefully the same on this side. There you go, that side's popped off. Now we need to clear underneath the terminals in order to get our next set of cables in. So with your screwdriver or whatever tool you're using, you want to try and get in there and try and push out any of that potting that's gone underneath. So again, take your time, just peel away any of those little bits. And the next part, say to do, if I try and zoom in a little bit, is tighten down the terminals at the top, which will squeeze any of the potting that's stuck in there. So not too tight, just till you feel some resistance. There we go, I'm just going to try and bring this down now so it's a bit of a... So in here we've got a little bit of potting that's still stuck in these, and this is where our small but sort of strong Allen key comes into place, because what I tend to do is push in down here and then just leverage down, so poke around a bit, push down, and you can see at the bottom, if you look down here, see that potting coming out? So that's clearing the way for the silver bucket where the cable goes into. It means when we undo this, it will drop down into place, but we need to clear this to get rid of that potting. So just take your time, go along, get as much of that out. You can see it all coming out at the bottom. Just zoom out a little bit so my hands aren't in the way. You can see down here all of this coming out as I'm working my way along. And the more of this you can get out, the easier it's going to make to get the new set of cables back in. There we go, so then I'll grab my tool, I'll go along and just flip all that out. Remove any of it that we can. There we go. Then I'll go back along one more time with my one hand in, with the hand just scooping along. Get that little bit there. Push down. There you go, got that bit out. So just go back along, check that we've got out as much of that potting as we can. Sometimes you'll find once you've released the main bit, you can go back in again and get a little bit more out like that. There we go. Then I'll see if I can get this on video. So we'll tidy all this up. Using our screwdriver now, with a little bit of downwards pressure at the same time as turning. If we turn, hopefully we'll be able to see on the end that silver bucket coming down. It has come down, not quite sure we can see it on the camera. I'll try and get a better angle. So you can see, you can just see there now on that end, you can see there's now a gap where the bucket's come down. So I'll see if I can get it on here on the second one. There you go, you can see that coming down. There you go, so now you've got your gap to get your next one in. So you want to follow that process along the whole way. There's a little bit of downwards pressure on the screwdriver as you're doing it. And there you go, you can see that bucket again starting to come down, because that's where you want to put your new cable into. So I'll do all these and then we'll come back to it. So there we go, hopefully we can see now, hopefully that's clear, and you can see in there where we've cleared out all the little buckets, so we can see that we've got enough room to get all our next cable connectors in. So I'll put this back on the stand and we'll put the new set of cables in. Okay, so now we've all got that cleared out, first thing I would say to do is just loosely put the back gland back on the bottom. You don't want to put your cable on and forget your gland. Feed your new cable through. Because we've cleared that out, all the cables should come through fairly freely. You don't need to ferrule the ends of these cables, it's not done at the factory, so we wouldn't say you need to do that. So now it's just colour coordinating as we go. So first one is brown, making sure it's going into that bucket that we made drop down. Screw that in, give it a little bit of a pull test, and that's in nicely. So we'll just work our way along the colours until we get to the green, and then we'll go through the end colours. They're slightly different. Okay, so now we've got those done, we're now to the end. So you've got your blue and your clear, or your screen, and then your purple and your screen. So the screens go on the outside, and it's screen blue, purple screen. The way I find easiest to do with these is try and twist your two so they're both going in at the same time. Put your clear in first, followed by your blue. And then we're just going to do those down, making sure it's not crimping down on the actual plastic outer sheaths, making sure it's crimping down on the actual copper internal sheaths. So there's your clear blue, like that, and then we'll do the purple clear. Let's just zoom that out a bit. Clear blue, purple. There we go, so that clear just needs to go down a little bit more. So what I can do is I can hold it down with the screwdriver while I'm going to get this in. It just pushes that little bucket open a little bit more, gives you a bit of wiggle room just to get that in without dropping your screwdriver. That's my one I made earlier. So that's the clear in, and the purple. There you go, give those a little bit of a test. Yep, all good. All good, we'll tidy these up. And then finally, we'll put back in our cable support. So your little clips that you've got on this side, you've got like a little recess. So this is the part that goes down, screws go in the top. So now we're going to fit the cable tie down part with the two screws and the little clip. So push your cable until it hits this inner rim here, and what I suggest you do is tighten up the back nut, which is going to hold the cable in place. We can smarten these bits up after. Place it into the bottom, so you've got two sets. With the Watermaster, it goes in the bottom set, and the screen is in my way to do this, so I'll try my best. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to move it back for a second. Same on the other side. Magnetic screwdrivers that keep moving it out of place. There we go. So if I can get this in so you can see that. There we go. So that is now the cable all pre-fitted back in. You tighten it down, you gland on, and then your new bag of resin will go in on top.